Guys, it's your girl Ted again. You're welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you're watching for the very first time, I talk about three different things on my YouTube channel. I talk about God, I talk about human resources, and I talk about fashion. And today I'm just going to be talking about a topic in human resources, and it's about workplace bullying. In the light of the school bullying and the loss of Sylvester's life in Dowen College. I was just thinking about it and just reflecting, and I'm like, there's a lot of bullying happening. That has already led to a loss of life, but even in the workplace, there's a lot of bullying going on in the workplace. And I know you're wondering, bullying in the workplace, does that really happen? Yes, it does. And bullying in the workplace are just their acts, and there are verbal comments that are psychologically and mentally just hurt the person, and it kind of just isolates people. So you're wondering what acts could you term as work as bullying in the workplace. So I'll give you examples of workplace bullying. So you have a manager that constantly uses words that are not, like, constantly just abuses the subordinates, uses vulgar words, using profane words on the subordinate, saying things like, do you have sense, don't you use your common sense, are you stupid, are you okay? That's bullying. Like, those are words that you shouldn't be using on anybody. You shouldn't be using on your subordinate. So that's an example of workplace using. When you use verbally, that's workplace bullying. That's verbal bullying, because you're talking down at that person. You can talk to somebody and try to find out, try to you know tell the person that the person is not doing what the person is supposed to be doing in a more professional word, and saying that, oh, why didn't you go about this this way, you should have done this way. Not for you to be using words like, don't you use your common sense, I see that you're stupid, didn't you go to school. There are some words that there's some words that people just use in the workplace, and you're like, no, that's not allowed. Like, didn't you go to school, are you stupid, why are you so daft, don't you use your common sense. That's an example of workplace bullying. Another example of workplace bullying is some managers try to just they try to look down on your potentials or your abilities. So that this person is a very smart person, and this person knows, he or she knows her stuff, but you try to undermine that person's capabilities, and you make that person look very stupid. I know it has happened to me before, when a manager just makes you start doubting if you can do this, if you can do that, because they make you feel so stupid, and you get to a point whereby you start doubting your capabilities or your potentials. That's workplace bullying, because probably that this person knows her stuff, and I don't get why even managers do it anyways, but I know that's another example of workplace bullying. Another example of workplace bullying is gossiping and rumor. Like, when you gossip and when you just carry different rumors, like maybe when you hear something and you just go about saying this, oh, I heard this, I heard that, it just spreads, and then probably the person hears or something, and it kind of just affects you. It affects that person. That's another example of workplace bullying. Another example of workplace bullying is when you unpurposely just assert your powers, like, okay, because I know that you're my manager, and then I want to go on leave, and then it's not a problem for me to go on leave. Like, that, okay, maybe you come and say you want to go on leave, you're not going to go on that leave. Do you get? That's another example of workplace bullying. Or you intentionally just try to stall somebody's promotion or stall somebody's pay rise, because definitely, even when you want to get promoted, there's appraisal process, and then it's your manager that appraises you. Some organizations don't do the 360 appraisal process, and then it just has to, the manager is the one that has the whole power, and then they just try and just stall that process, or they just tell you that, no, you're not due for promotion, or you're not due for a salary raise. That's workplace bullying, because you have that power, and then you're now stalling somebody's progress. That's workplace bullying. Another example of workplace bullying is when you unnecessarily just put some work guidelines, like you just make it difficult. You make work just very difficult. You put something that is not supposed to take step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, but because you know that you are the manager, and because you want to frustrate somebody's efforts, you put step 1, step 2, step 3, and you just frustrate that person. That is workplace bullying. Another example of workplace bullying is when you unnecessarily just give out unreasonable tasks, and then you set unreasonable deadlines. You know that deadline that you are setting is unrealistic and it is unreasonable, but you set it regardless, because you're just in that position of power, and you just think that you can just assert that power and misuse that power. And subordinates, they don't have a choice. There are some organizations that are not so feedback is really, there's really no avenue for you to hear how you feel, or for you to hear your grievances, and that goes on and on. And what this does to employees is that it affects people mentally, it affects you psychologically. Like, you just come to work, you start coming to work like a zombie. You just come to work and you're like, let me just come to work, and let me just get out. And even there's an aftermath to all of this. When you get home, you transfer that frustration, because we spend most of our time at work, and then when you come back home, you're coming back home with that annoyance, after you're going to work, and somebody has just dehumanized you and just spoken to you in a very awful manner. Do you understand? That is just bullying. And the thing is that sometimes workplace bullying, they lead to suicidal thoughts. Do you get? Because sometimes employees now start thinking, like I'm not good enough, I can't do that. You see some people on a particular level for years, and they are not going to the next level, because one manager is holding their promotion. Do you understand? So these are some examples of workplace bullying, where you intimidate people because you're a senior, because you're in a top position. There are some workplaces that you be like, oh, do you get, you go into and like, there are definitely some cacos. They will have told you that these ones, don't annoy them, don't like, don't even step on their toes, because if you step on their toes, you're in for it. You get I know there's one time that someone had told me, I'd worked somewhere, and somebody had told me that you don't know who you're messing with. You don't, like, when you use words like that, that is just bullying of the highest. That is just bullying. Like, all these things shouldn't be happening in the workplace. Or another example, I'll just give this last example of workplace bullying, is when there are some managers that they will just come and tell you that maybe it's time for lunch, or it's time for break, and they just come and meet you and tell you that please help me to go and buy this, help me to go and buy that. That one is just wrong. Like, that's just workplace bullying. Like, I came to work. You can send me on professional errands. Oh, can you print this document, or can you get me some stationery from admin? That's still around my work boundaries. But when you start telling me that, oh, can you get me coffee, or can you get me lunch, can you go get me food, that's workplace bullying. Like, that's just workplace bullying. I know there are some times that some subordinates can offer, and they can be like, oh, I'm going to the cafeteria, I'm going to get something, do you want something? Yeah, that's reasonable. But when you now impose it, and you're like, go and get me that, go and get me this, that is workplace bullying. So I think the question to ask is, as a manager, as a subordinate, is to ask yourself that, am I a bully in the workplace? Bullies don't necessarily have to be only managers. Even subordinates, sometimes they bully their peers. Do you understand? Like, even we are on the same level, but we have caucus, and then this person, you don't talk to this person, or you start probably looking down on that person, or you start, undermining that person's capabilities, or you start undermining that person's work. Do you understand? Or you start using some there are some tones that you also use with different people that it gets to people. So I think the most important thing is, let's be very careful wherever you are working at. You need to ask yourself and just be very conscious and tell yourself that, am I a bully? And if you're being bullied also, I think if you're being bullied in the workplace, if your workplace is a workplace that encourages feedback, encourages you to hear your grievances, if there's somebody that you could talk to in the workplace, I think it's something that you should talk about. You shouldn't absorb it, you shouldn't take it in too much, because at the end of the day, it's just going to affect you mentally and psychologically, and even on the job you're not able to be productive as much as you're supposed to be productive. So I think it's something that you should talk about. Don't I think sometimes we don't like to talk about things, and we just suck it in, and we just feel that that's how it's supposed to be. That's not how it's supposed to be. So I feel, if you're being bullied in your workplace, please seek help. Try to talk to somebody. And if your workplace is not a workplace that encourages feedback or encourages you to hear your grievances, I think, hello, hi, I think it's time for you to leave that workplace. Like, just start planning your exit, because being bullied is not the best way. You can't even fully harness your potential. So I think if your environment is not an environment that encourages you to speak up, encourages you to talk about it, I don't think you should continue in that workplace. And then, sorry about that. And then also, if you're the bully, I think it's also for you to actually sit down and, like, see, I'm in a position of power, but I shouldn't misuse my power. Do you get? I shouldn't misuse my power. If these people are coming to work, they are going to be at work for about 8 hours, 9 hours. You should make that environment very conducive for people to, to work. Don't make people's life miserable. If you're a manager, you're a manager and you're supposed to help people, you're supposed to help people grow. Do you understand? I used to say that managers are like parents. Managers are like parents. So you have these children working under you. So if you are a parent, how would you treat your children? That is how it is. So you bullying them, or you trying to stall their promotion, try to make life miserable for them, because probably you don't like her face, or because you don't like the way she talks, you don't like because she's too upfront, she's so assertive. There's very petty reasons why these managers even bully. And so I think it's just for us to just sit down as managers and just try and look at it and, like, I want to create an enabling environment for my subordinates, and I don't think bullying is the best thing to do. Yes, we lost a life of Sylvester in as a result of school bullying. So are you going to lose a life as a result of workplace bullying? I think it's something for you to think about. If you're a manager and you're a bully, I think reflect and look at all of your actions. Am I a bully? Do I intimidate my subordinates, or do I encourage them? Do I motivate them? Do I make them want to do their best? Do I impute fear in my subordinate? Because some people feel that that's how to manage. When they are scared of you, when they are jittery, when they see you, they are just scared. It means that you're managing properly. No, it means that you're a bad manager. I'm sorry. It means that you're a bad manager. So please, let's stop the workplace bullying. Let's make our workplaces, an enabling environment, a fantastic place to work. Yes, there's a place of constructive, criticism. There's a place of you giving feedback. There are sometimes that you have to be blunt, you have to be very frank, but I still believe that you can correct in love. You can encourage people, you can call out people's faults in love. You don't have to get to a point where you're intimidating people, and when you're just unnecessarily asserting your power in the wrong direction. So please, let's stop the workplace bullying. And please, if you have any other thing to say as regards workplace bullying, please just drop your comments. I would still like to learn from one or two people. And let's keep the hashtag, let's just keep saying hashtag stop the workplace bullying. You know, let's make workplaces a fun place to work, where people can come and they are free to work. We don't want to lose any life to workplace, you know, bullying. There are a lot of people that are depressed, and it's as a result of their workplace bullying. So as a manager, as a subordinate, wherever you are, do you know, reflect and ask yourself, am I bullying somebody? And if you're being bullied also, please get help. If you can't get help, if nobody is listening to you, please, it's time for you to leave that environment so that you can harness your full potentials, you know. Thank you guys, that's all I wanted to talk about. See you guys in my next video. Bye.